Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Utopia deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because this deck is a deck that you guys have been literally requesting like crazy on every single video for me to do an update of, and I am super excited to bring this one to you guys because this deck is the OTK based deck to be able to play the awesome Utopia and Utopia double. This deck can make some insane plays, and it's just going to get better and better with the support that is eventually going to be coming out for this deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name searched in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of ZS Ascendant Sage. So Ascendant Sage is a fantastic card for this particular deck that has the ability to control no cards. You can special summon this card from your hand, and a Utopia XZ monster that's summoned using this card as a material on the field gains the following effect: that if this card is XZ summoned, you can add a rank up magic normal spell from your deck to your hand, which is an amazing effect just to be able to grab a rank up magic from the deck. We then play 3 copies of ZS Armored Sage. Armored Sage is also a new support card from Lightning Overdrive that has the ability that if the only monster you control is a 1 level 4 monster not named this card, you can special summon this card from your hand, and a Utopia XZ monster that uses this card as a material gains the ability that if this card is XZ summoned, you can add a ZW monster from your deck to your hand, or a Zexal weapon from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect just to be able to add one of your Zexal weapons. We then play 3 copies of Utopic Onomatopoeia. This card is a great card for the deck too. I play 3 in my particular build, because what this card does is during the main phase, you can special summon 1 each from a Zubaba, Gagaga, Go-Go-Go, and Dododo monster from your hand in defense position, and also you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except XZ monsters turn you activate this effect, which is totally fine because you're only ever going to be summoning XZs from the extra deck anyways. We then play 3 copies of Jotaro, or I love this card, but it looks like part 3 Jotaro. But basically what this card is its Gagaga Cloak. Gagaga Cloak has the ability, if you control a Zubaba or Gagaga monster except another copy of itself, you can, while this card is in your hand, you can instantly special summon this card and then target a Go-Go or Dododo monster in the graveyard and special summon that monster. And you can only special summon the monster from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect, except you can only special summon XZ monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. So this card is really good as a great extender, and the really nice thing, the reason I'm playing 3 of the Utopic Onomatopoeia is because it counts as all of the different types from the Utopia, or from the Zubaba, Gaga, Go-Go, and Dododo. So that's why this card is really good, because as long as you open up that card, you're pretty much going to have the free play of special summoning this from hand. We then play 3 copies of the Go-Go-Go Gloves. Go-Go-Go Gloves is also a really good card because during your main phase, you can special summon a Zubaba or Gagaga monster from your hand, and if you control a Go-Go-Go or Dododo monster, while this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon this back, but banish it when it leaves the field, which is why I play this card as a 3 of in this deck, because it's just going to instantly get you a great extender, which is pretty much the entire deck. We're then going to be playing a couple of Zexal weapons, which is 1 copy of Tornado Bringer. Tornado Bringer is really good because it lets you target a Utopia monster you control and equip this card from your hand or your side of the field to that monster, and the targeted monster gains 1300 attack. And then while this card is equipped to a monster, your opponent cannot target that monster with card effects, and if a monster equipped with this card would be destroyed, you can destroy this card instead. We then play a single copy of Lightning Blade. Lightning Blade is also really good because you can target 1 Utopia monster you control and equip this monster, or equip that monster with this card, and it gains 1200 attack, and while this card is equipped to that monster, face-up ZW cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So basically they both protect from card effects, which is really good. And then we play the new, insanely good ZW Pegasus Twin Saber. Pegasus Twin Saber is so good in this deck. What this card does is if you control only 1 ZW Pegasus Twin Wing or Twin Saber. Twin Saber is just so good because if your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 higher than yours, then you can special summon this card from your hand and then target a Utopia monster you control. If this card's in your hand, or you can special summon this card from your hand and then target a Utopia monster you control and equip this card to that monster as an equip spell that gives it 1,000 additional attack, and once per turn, while this card is equipped to a monster, you can negate negate the effects of a monster's activated your effect, or a monster activated effect to your opponent's side of the field, which is really good just to be able to negate monster effects. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom, because the 3 Ash is just really good to stop your opponent's hand, or stop your opponent from touching the deck, from adding cards from deck to hand, which is just really good in a deck like this to kind of slow the game down just a little bit. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Rhoda. Rhoda is just really good because it's going to let you add any of your warrior monsters from your deck to your hand that you need them. I play 1 copy of Zexal Entrust. Zexal Entrust is kind of neat. I did consider cutting it, but I wanted to test it out at 1, and I haven't really regretted playing it at 1. But what it does is you get to target 1 Utopia, ZW, or ZS monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand, or special summon it. So basically, it's kind of like Monster Reborn a little bit, and if your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 or higher than yours, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard to then target a Zexal spell trap in the graveyard and add that target back to your hand. So playing it at 1 is totally fine. I probably wouldn't play this card at any more than 1 though. We then play a single copy of Double or Nothing, because Double or Nothing is great in this deck. Playing it as a 1-of is totally fine, because you can go into Utopia double in this deck and then climb with cards like Izzy's Change Tactics. So it's a really good card to play as a 1-of, but I probably wouldn't. I might play this card as a 2-of in this deck. I kind of played around with dropping the Zexal Entrust for a second copy of Double or Nothing, because it's really good, and if you draw it, it kind of turns off your Utopia double, and you kind of do want to go into that card pretty frequently. We then play the same copy of Onomatopoeia Pickup. Onomatopoeia Pickup is really good because when this card is activated, you get to add an Onoma card from your deck to your hand. You set another copy of this card, and then you can target 1 Zubaba, Gagaga, Go-Go-Go, or Dododo monster you control, and all monsters you currently control become that monster's level until the end of the turn, and this card leaves the field. Basically, this card is just here because you're going to add that copy of Onomatopoeia from your deck to your hand. We then play 2 copies of Rank Up Magic Zexal Force. Zexal Force is really good. Really good, and what it does is you get to target an XZ monster you control and special summon from your extra deck 1 Utopia or ZW monster that's a rank higher than the monster that you control by using that monster as a material, and if you do, you take 1 ZW or SW or ZS monster from your deck and place that card on top of your deck. And then it also has the ability that if your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 or higher than yours, then you manage to card from the graveyard to draw a card. So basically let you grab that card from the deck. So it's really good. It's like a searcher and a rank up magic spell all at once. We then play 2 copies of Generation Force. Generation Force lets you add, if you control a XZ monster, you can add 1 XYZ or XZ card from your deck to your hand. We then play double XZ Import. XZ Import I like as a 2-of in this deck. XZ Import is really good because you get to target an XZ monster you control and a monster your opponent controls, and you basically attach the opponent's monster to your monster as long as the monster you control has more attack than the monster that you're targeting. So this card is really good at just taking a problematic cards away from your opponent and equipping them as materials to your cards. We then play 3 copies of Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is the card that you're going to search off your copy of your Onomata pickup the majority of the time. What this card does is let you, if you can only activate 1 of this per turn, and you can send a card from your hand to the graveyard to add up to 2 of the following cards from your deck to your hand: a Zubaba, Gagaga, Go-Go-Go, or Dododo monster. So basically add your cloak and your gloves from your deck to your hand, which is great for this card to be able to get both of those cards directly from your deck for consistency. We then play 3 copies of the craziest card in the deck, and that is 3 copies of Izzy's Change Tactics. That when a Utopia XZ monster you control is special summoned to your field, then you get to pay 500 to draw a card, and you can only control 1 of this card, but it's not once per turn. So as many times as you can special summon, you get to draw, which is just really, really insane to me that you just get to draw over and over and over again with this card. We then play 3 copies of Zexal Construction. Zexal Construction is also another searcher in the deck that you can reveal a card in your hand. If you do, you add 1 of the following cards from your deck to your hand: either a ZW monster, an SW, or a ZS monster, a Zexal spell trap, a rank up magic spell, or a rank down spell, which is really cool. And then after you reveal that card and you add it from your deck to your hand, the revealed card is shuffled into the deck. So basically it is a -1, but you still get your search, which is what's nice. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. You don't need any traps in this deck at all. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 Utopias. It is a necessity to play 3 Utopias because you're going to be summoning this card all the time, like all the time, and it's your starter from the extra deck throughout the entire game. We play a single copy of Utopia Double because Utopia Double is great in this deck because basically you just make this, detach the material, add double or nothing from deck to hand, summon a Utopia on top of it, and then after you summon Utopia on top of it, the Utopia comes out at 5,000. If you do choose to swing at your opponent with the Utopia, you can, and then negate the attack, and then drop double or nothing for 10,000 attack, which is really, really good. We then play a copy of S Prime because it activates our copy of Change Tactics, and you can just throw this on top of any of your 39 Utopias that you currently control and climb with this card, so it's really easy to just climb with it. And it's a really good card, actually, because its other effects kind of come up in this deck, because if your opponent's life points are 3,000 higher than yours, you can detach as many, or you can detach 3 materials from this card and pay life points, so you only have 10 life points left. Destroy as many special monster opponent controls as possible. If you do, banish them, and then inflict 300 points of damage to your opponent for each monster banished. So you can kind of get all of your other cards like that have effects that have 3,000 or more already off with this card, but it's really good to just kind of board wipe as well. We then play a single copy of C39 Utopia Ray. Utopia Ray you can throw on top of Utopia. It's, again, this one's really here just for the change tactics. It's not that great of a card, but you just kind of use it just to go on top of your copy of Utopia. We then play a single copy of Lightning because Lightning can help you OTK, and it comes out and it can swing for 5,000. Play a single copy of C39 Utopia Ray V. Utopia Ray V is an insanely good card. It's pretty easy to summon because you just can use the Zexal rank up magic spell to go into this because it's a Utopia monster. And it has the ability that when this card in its owner's possession is destroyed or destroys a monster by battle, either by battle or by card effect, you can target an XZ monster in your graveyard and return that target to the extra deck. And if this card is Utopia, you also get the following effect that once per turn you can detach a material of this card, target a monster your opponent controls, and destroy that monster. If you inflict damage to your opponent, equal destroy monster's attack that it had on the field. So this card's pretty good for popping cards. We then play one of the new Utopia or Ultimate Draconic Utopia Ray. This card is also really good for the deck as well. And what it does is this card is always treated as a number C39 Utopia Ray. And it once per turn lets you, when a card or effect is activated, that targets this card, or when a card is targeted for an attack. Quick effect, you can equip one ZW or Zexal Weapon monster from your hand or deck to this card as if it were equipped by that monster's effect. And then once per turn, you can detach material from this card to target face-up monster your opponent controls, or target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of ZW monsters equipped to this card and negate their effects, which is also a really good card effect. We then play a single copy of ZW Draconic Halberd. Halberd is really good and kind of replaces Leo Arms because what it does is it can attack directly just like Leo Arms, and then once per turn you can detach a material from this card to add a Zexal spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and then you can target one Utopia monster you control and equip this card to that monster and it gains 3,000 attack. And when the equipped monster destroys a monster by battle, you can special summon to your field any number of ZW monsters equipped to it, so it basically goes in for the OTK. We then play a single copy of Ga Magician. This card is really good because it can help you go into your copy of Utopic Future and make it 4K, which is really good. It's the engine that I chose to throw in the extra deck because you can play other stuff in here. You can play, if you want to, a copy of the Giant Hand if you want to in this position. You can play stuff like the Shark if you want to, like Silent Honor Arc, Silent Honor Dark. You can play stuff like that. You can play other Utopia cards, but I really like going to Utopic Future in my build because it can take cards away from your opponent. Play number 60 because it can let you draw 2, discard 1, double the attack of a monster, or revive something from the graveyard. One copy of Tornado Dragon because it can pop spells or traps, and then a single copy of Zeus because everything else is an XZ, so you can board wipe with this card. And it pretty much, when I saw this card getting released, I was like, oh, cool, another Utopia. And then it came out as Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, and I was like, wow, that's a real funny way of spelling Utopia, but hey, whatever. I thought it was actually an upgrade for Utopia. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to play around with. It's fairly budget for the main deck, and the extra deck is also fairly budget, except for the AA Zeus. And you don't have to play AA Zeus. You can play an Exciton Knight over it if you want to play something a little bit more budget for you guys. But other than that, the deck is like less than 50, so it's not that bad. So it's a really fun deck to play around with. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of notifications. Go ahead and definitely tell what you think of this deck down in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.